Give me a hell yeah.
Bless up. Bless up.
Give me a hell yeah.
Ooh, you know what time it is. Ooh, you know what time it is.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce and Mo.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know.
Do it for Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Hey. Do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings, it's my favorite show. Do it for Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Hey. Do it for Deuce and Mo. When it comes to the Kings. Big hopes and dreams as we cover our kings. Never cover the kingdom, but we loving our kings. And we covered your prayers as we doing our thing. Big Deuce with the pod, Lil Mo on the screen. Solo or together, still do it for team. Never switch up for $1 or revenue stream. So we always got each other, balance out the beam. Deuce and Mo, and that's the end of the theme song. Do it for Deuce and Mo.
We are live!
Do it for Deuce and Mo.
Why are you so happy?
I'm just laughing at us.
Oh, because of our off-air conversation?
Yes.
That we're going to bring on? Yeah.
Because we're very transparent and we talk about everything with everyone. I feel like you should talk about it now.
No.
Okay.
Happy Monday, everybody. Or Tuesday.
Hey, Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
I'm rooting for y'all.
We rooting for you. Let's go,
Let's go,
Kings.
Kings.
My back's doing great, Morgan. Thanks for asking.
Oh, yeah. Dude, have I asked you yet?
No.
Because you looked better. You looked not normal,
No,
but
yeah.
you looked
It's
better.
getting better. It's getting better.
I'm happy for you.
I was able to do some stretches yesterday. I got to be honest. I think sitting in this chair helped a little bit yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
Are you being serious?
I'm being dead serious. I get a little stiff, getting out of bed this morning. I'm like, oh, no, what's going on? I even have James Ham texting me.
What did James say?
Because James Ham's an old man and
Yes.
has back issues, and now, and that's a problem that I need to make crystal clear to everyone before we start the podcast. We got Jay Bilas coming up from ESPN. This is not like an old man injury. This is an athletic injury. This is just the same thing if an NBA player gets hurt during a game, an AEW superstar getting hurt.
You were
during
running
a game,
dog for a block.
sprinting a dog. Like, this was not like, oh, I was reaching over for the remote and tweak. Like, James Ham probably tweaked his back wiping
Wait,
his
you're
ass.
talking shit about James Ham after he gave you advice and helped you out with your back?
I am using it as an example. That's all. That's all. It's not like an old man injury. This is, hey, man, this athlete is dealing with something.
Oh, you identify yourself as an athlete. Okay.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I'd say most people look at me that way.
Okay.
So I just want to be clear on that. Anyway, let's stop messing around. Let's start the podcast. Jay Bilas coming up in like 14 minutes. And shout out to Alexi from Barcelona here. Coach Nick. I'm sorry, Barcelona. How about my knowledge of Barcelona?
Wait, this is just transparent miscommunication between me and you. I thought he was coming on at 10.
No, 10:15.
Oh my God. That makes me so.
Okay, we're going to talk about this on the podcast in just a second.
Let's go.
Shout out to everyone watching us live. What's that? Kings fan, Leezy. A couple of the members on YouTube are here. Mr. Turtle. What's up, Oscar? Let's get it started. Deuce and Mo.
Give me a hell yeah.
Yes. Coming down in 3, in 2, in 1. Hit my music.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.
Hey, it's a Tuesday edition of the Deuce and Mo podcast. I'm Deuce Mason. That's Morgan Reagan. And I know what everyone's thinking today as we're 16 days away from the NBA draft. Deuce Mason, how's your back?
Oh, again, already forgot about it. How's the back?
It's feeling better, guys.
Good to know. Good to know.
It's feeling a little better. I was able to do a little cat-cow yesterday.
Wow.
Stretch it out a little bit.
What are you going to try today?
Maybe go do some squats.
Someone's suggesting pigeon stretch.
Yeah, I'll definitely do a little pigeon stretch for you. Thanks so much for joining us. We got a lot to go over today and super excited about the fact that Jay Bilas will be on the show live.
Super excited.
But can we be really honest about this?
Let's be honest about this.
I don't get intimidated by many people. I've even said on this very podcast, oh, look, here's the thing with athletes and celebrities. You cut them open, they bleed like just me and you. Like, I'm not intimidated. I'm just going to be completely honest. And I know Morgan feels the same way because we were just talking about this when we weren't doing the podcast. Jay Bilas intimidates me.
I don't know why. And we've interviewed him multiple times.
But he doesn't know us. This will be the first time over video. And I think part of it is he's just very like direct with like,
He's to the point. He's to the point. He doesn't like mess around.
It just makes me nervous. And it's also because I have a tremendous amount of respect for what he's accomplished throughout his career. I mean, this guy was a college basketball player at Duke. And now he's, ESPN's lead college basketball analyst. I just
killing it in the broadcasting world and has been for such a long amount of time. And that's like, it's a little intimidating, okay?
Yes, I am like... How much time? Oh, no. I just get a little nervous. So maybe that's the way when we have him on in a few minutes. And I can tell my adrenaline's going. Why am I feeling this way?
Take a sip of water.
Why am I feeling this?
Really?
A little bit. I got to be
Simmer
honest.
down. Take a sip of water.
I think I'm just amped up. Maybe it's the coffee.
Yeah, wait. Take a sip of water, please. That would honestly help. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. You guys, again, don't know why. This doesn't happen with like many people. At all. But when someone just knows what they want, how they want to do it, when they want to do everything, like he's just so assertive.
Super intelligent. Knows the game.
Maybe
Keeps you on your toes.
Maybe we should just like bombard him with all these compliments and then he'll be like, okay, is the interview over?
What's your deal? What is going on? Oh, we did get a couple of new nuggets today, including ESPN putting out a mock draft that has like fit versus best available. And Jonathan Gavoni over at ESPN is doing this mock draft. He has today that the Kings in their need pick. Mm-hmm. Well, he's got the Kings picking Keegan Murray. He says need Keegan Murray, best available Jaden Ivey.
Wow. That's so interesting to me.
Here's what he had to say. The Kings started a hodgepodge of power forwards alongside Sabonis after making a late-season trade for the highly skilled big man and certainly don't have anyone on the roster currently who looks like a long-term answer at the position if Sabonis is indeed deemed a center. Drafting a power forward with wing skills and defensive versatility looks like a great fit on paper, and Murray's ability to score prolifically and efficiently will allow him to carve out an immediate role alongside the more ball-dominant Sabonis and Fox, the franchise cornerstones at the moment. At Iowa, Murray alternated between anchoring the defense from the 5 spot and being positioned at the top of Iowa's full court press, showing terrific instincts, rotating from the weak side for blocks, getting in passing lanes, locking up on switches with his ability to move his feet one-on-one. And Morgan at 6'9" with a chiseled frame.
Oh.
Chiseled.
Really? Chiseled.
Yeah.
Okay.
He looks legitimately big enough to see minutes as a small ball center, which could help cover for Sabonis' struggles on that end, while also demonstrating outside awareness off the ball. Despite all of Murray's attractive traits, by the way, a lot of them there.
There's a lot.
His long-term upside, physical tools, and shot creation aren't as great as those offered by Ivey, who is widely considered the third or fourth best prospect in the draft by most teams, making him the best player available pick if the Kings take that route.
I love the breakdown because availability, best fit, all of that, you have to factor all of that in, right? Looking at Keegan Murray and more of what he can do and just him talking about his instincts alone. His instincts has helped him on so many different defensive plays throughout his college life, I guess you could say, with the way that even if he loses a guy because he stands up instead of sitting down in a defensive stance, he knows how to recover, how to utilize his wingspan and still stretch out and make sure to get that block or, disrupt the shot, alter it in some way or another. He's a smart player, knows the game, and does his homework on guys too.
Yeah, high basketball IQ. It was interesting watching his little film breakdown with Mike Schmitz, too, where he just has a great memory for his opponents.
Yes.
Schmitz is like, hey, what do you know about this shooter? Like, why do you play like that? Well, he shot 40% from three this year.
So I sagged off him, and that's why I was here instead of there.
And every single player he knew something about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did he study ahead of time? I don't know what the hell. He remembers all of this, which was really impressive. Some of the recovery stuff that you just brought up about Keegan Murray, that's kind of stuff I saw from Jaden Ivey yesterday when I was watching after the podcast some of his defensive plays. And because, we've been kind of critical of where he is at this point in his career as a young player defensively. Like a days ago at times. But, man, there are so many times I'm watching him, and even after the mistakes, Ivey's able to recover. And that's, I think, a lot because of his athleticism, the length. But I think that's what makes it even more intriguing is, wow, he made a big mistake here. He did not navigate getting around these screens well at all, but was somehow able to get there and alter the shot, which is really hard to do. And so if you're an NBA team, you're looking at that going, okay, well, if we get our hands on this guy and he works hard, there's no one denies that he works hard, then maybe he can turn into a legit defender at the NBA level. So that's what's fun about this draft, right? Like, there's just so many things you have to look at. You can't just look at, this is what a player is now. That means that's what he's going to be in 2 years from now. There's so many factors that we talk about all the time when it comes to the draft. It's situation, it's, coaching, development. It's also what's within the player too.
Yeah. I'm so curious for someone like Jay Bilas, who has to talk about these guys each and every year. And I'm sure there's got to be years that he's like, this guy's going to be a franchise-changing player, or he's not so high on a guy, and he ends up being that franchise-changing player. Like, you've got to make a lot of mistakes if you're making a lot of educated guesses, right?
I think what Jay does a good job of is he's not like...
Tries not to be biased toward...
Yeah, I think the best thing about Jay... is now you talk. I don't know why you brought him up. I just got nervous again. You just made me nervous again.
Well, good, because he's coming on soon.
Again?
But he's coming on 5 minutes.
I think the thing with him is he's very fair. That's the best way to put it. He is super fair, and I think you should be fair when we're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Maybe they're a little older. They're 22. Like, these guys have the potential to improve.
And I guess my point is too. I guess when we were talking about Jaden Ivey and being more critical toward his game, especially defensively, like, that is something that we do always need to make sure we are talking about is, but what is he like as someone who cares about learning more about the game? Is he a student of the game? Does he care about that side of the game to actually get better?
Yeah.
And sometimes you're just not going to know that unless it's like within an interview or within other people telling you and not just a college coach telling you, yeah, no, he's great.
The other thing that came out yesterday, Kevin O'Connor over at The Ringer wrote a story. I think he was kind of hitting on the Utah Jazz situation. If Donovan Mitchell was maybe going to get traded, like who are some potential teams may be interested? Probably 29 others, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Anyway, he had a little nugget about the Kings saying league sources say the Kings are looking for a win-now player with the 4th pick, whether they draft one or deal the pick to acquire one. Trading out of the draft is a possibility, but so is moving down. Sources say Sacramento is willing to move back for a lower pick and a player who would fit in the same trajectory as De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, and Davion Mitchell.
So pretty much anything? Is that what that was just state? I love that everyone keeps reporting on the Kings, and it's like, get this, guys. They might do absolutely anything you can possibly imagine.
Look,
with
Maura,
that
I don't know if you
4th
thought
pick.
about this. They could take a pick.
Oh,
At number 4, they could take a player.
no.
But there's also a world where they trade back.
And I'm not mad about it. I'm just,
But have you thought about them trading out completely?
no. Oh, see, there's a new angle I have.
What about trading up?
No, I haven't thought about that either.
They'll do any of that.
You know what I mean, though? It's like, I get that they're doing their job and just like putting out there for even the people that don't keep up on the Kings. So this might be the first thing that they read, and people are going, oh, okay, good to know. They can do absolutely anything. But at the same time, I think as someone who is a fan of the Kings and follows the Kings like we do, I just want something new. I want to know. We all love rumors. We love smoke screens.
know
We
what?
love
No.
a little bit of something.
We do, but it's good. Because no one can figure out
That's
Sacramento.
true.
And this is the time of year where people are, we just can't figure out what Sacramento's doing.
I just like it for
It's
the
like,
drama.
Well, they didn't know what Sacramento was doing. Like there was no like big Domantas Sabonis Halliburton rumor out there. When it happened, it happened.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
You know, it shows that
Yeah.
they're buttoned up a little bit. I don't know.
No,
or
no,
we're
no.
overthinking this. I don't know.
No. It's a fair, good point. And at the same time, I think just the dramatic side of me
Yeah.
had enjoyed the rumors over the years, even if they were frustrating. It was like drama, spill the tea.
Well, that wasn't all Kevin O'Connor had in the
Oh.
ringer. He said, with so many possibilities, it's hard to imagine what a deal would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Could it involve acquiring the 6th pick and Malcolm Brogdon from the Pacers? Or maybe TJ Warren in a sign and trade? Stop it. Stop it. I like TJ Warren. He hasn't played in 2 years. We're going to talk about a sign and trade right now? Like, I really? How about Josh Hart in the 7th pick from Portland? The Spurs have a ton of good young guys nearing the end of their rookie contracts. Plenty of teams can make competitive offers if they choose, which should lead to plenty of buzz ahead of draft night. I like it.
Give me the buzz.
Yeah. Can't figure this team out.
Well,
There's a lot of people who maybe want to move up. All right, let's see.
And you're obviously hearing so many rumblings around Portland too, and just guys that they want to go after and how they're going to accomplish that. Who knows? Is it through the draft? Like, there could be a lot of drama happening draft night.
Guys, I just need to be real before we do this. I'm a little nervous. Jay Bilas is here.
Stop. Act cool, dude.
Okay, cool. Cool.
No,
Okay.
like, I'm serious.
Okay.
Act cool.
All right. We'll let you know when he's all ready to go. We are, yeah, let's get to him now. He is here. We appreciate him being here. I was just telling our audience, Jay, I don't know what it is. I think it's because you're so good at what you do. I am very intimidated when I talk to you for some reason.
We both are.
It's so funny. I don't know why.
Well, I'm an intimidating presence.
There we go.
You know, maybe it's the bald and the beard and all that stuff. It's a lot to deal with.
Well, we appreciate you joining us for a few minutes, man. I really admire like your career path. I guess before we even talk about the draft, I don't know this about you. I'm curious, when did you know you wanted to get into the broadcasting side after playing?
You know, when I was in high school and started to become a recognized player, you started getting, when somebody would write an article on you or something, they'd always ask you, what do you want to do after, after basketball? And honestly, I didn't have a really good answer. And there were a lot of former athletes at that time getting into broadcasting. You know, Don Drysdale was doing baseball, and Frank Gifford was on Monday Night Football, things like that. And so I sort of said, well, maybe I'll get into broadcasting. And back then, that's recruiting. You could introduce players to alums back then. So when schools would recruit me, they would sort of exploit the broadcast angle, whether it was Syracuse or Duke. And when I went to Duke, Coach K introduced me to a guy named Chuck Howard, who was the lead producer with ABC Sports at the time. And he started giving me jobs, and I worked as a production assistant for ABC Sports. I did the Olympics and Monday Night Baseball. I did pro bowling. I did professional golf. I did the PGA Championship in '83, the '84 Olympics. I don't know if I mentioned that, but all these different things. I worked in the industry and sort of learned it a little bit, but people knew I was interested in it. But when I was in high school, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I just said that. I didn't know what it entailed or whether I'd be any good at it. So it was just sort of a process. But if I didn't say it in the recruiting process, I don't think it ever would have happened.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
No, and what a grind too. And obviously now, and again, before we get into the draft, just like you get to talk hoops now, and you know the game so well. You obviously love the game. What do you love about basketball so much?
That's a good question. I mean, I think I'm one of those guys that I loved it from the first time I dribbled the ball. For me, I played with my friends, and my mom, when I was in fourth grade, she just wanted me out of the house. So she had read in the local newspaper there were tryouts for the local intermediate basketball league. So she took me up to the high school and dumped me off at a tryout. And I tried out for the team, to make a team. And I thought, okay, well, I'd make the Celtics or, the Lakers, and I'd play at my high school every Friday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And that'd be the end of it. And I wound up making a travel team. And we traveled, the same group of players. We traveled all over Southern California, Nevada, even into Utah. And we played every weekend. We played multiple tournaments every weekend. So many that we would start a game in one location, and one of the assistant coaches would take half the team in the car and start a game somewhere else, and half the team had finished the game. We'd get there, we played nothing but games. And to me, it was the most fun thing ever. We were staying in hotels and eating fast food and just hanging with your friends. And then we all wound up playing together in high school. So we basically had the same team from fourth grade to high school. And I couldn't have had more fun. So to me, basketball was always, it was competitive. And hopefully I showed some aptitude for it, but I just loved every bit of it. But it wasn't until college where I learned so much about it. You play in high school, and sometimes your coaches know what they're doing, sometimes they don't. And in my case, he didn't. And so I learned. We had a great team, but we didn't have a very good coach. And that's why I was so into making sure I played for the right guy in college. And Duke doesn't want to hear this, but I could have given a flip about Duke. I wanted to play for Coach K. And I came down to Coach K, Jim Boeheim, Lute Olson, and Ted Owens. And it was Duke, Syracuse, Iowa, and Kansas at that time. And I couldn't care less about the schools. I wanted to play for one of those guys.
How awesome. And then, of course, now your career, you're doing college basketball games all the time, and you've been a mainstay on these NBA draft broadcasts for years now. What's it mean to you to be a part of draft night? I mean, I know it's like it may for some just be another broadcast, but like this is the start of something special for these young men who have worked so hard. What do you like about being a part of the NBA draft?
It's another thing where everything, I got drafted in 1986, but everybody was asleep by then. I think the janitor announced my pick after they got through all the deputy commissioners. And so on one hand, it's one of the greatest nights of these players' lives. But then on the other hand, we can't sit up there and say that every player is going to be the next Hall of Famer. We have to be realistic about, sort of what we're talking about. So you can't just throw roses at everybody's feet. You have to be honest about it. So it's a difficult process in a way, but it's really fun in another. And this will be my 20th draft for ESPN. My first draft was the LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Darko draft, Carmelo Anthony, that draft. And so it's been a long time. I had hair when I did it the first time, so it's been a while.
It's funny because you were talking about how you don't just throw roses at everyone's feet, and just light up everyone like they are going to be out to be this, amazing special player. We were talking about how fair You are. And is that just because you respect the game so much? You respect what you need to say to the audience? What makes you such a fair broadcaster when talking about all these young talents?
Well, it's nice of you to say. I mean, what I would say is, like, I do hear other broadcasters, colleagues of mine, that sometimes will stump for where they went to school or where, the team they played for. And I don't have a problem with it. Everybody has to do it their own way. I'm not like that. I just couldn't do that. To me, it is part of a respect thing. But, I always tell my younger colleagues that ask, I don't give advice unless it's asked, but I basically say, look, fair isn't difficult. What's difficult is having to have an allegiance and stick with that when you know what you're saying isn't necessarily the right thing. And I don't have a rooting interest at these games. I don't care who wins. That was an adjustment, honestly, when I first started broadcasting. I'd always gone to games as a fan and you had a rooting interest. You had your favorite team or you like this player or whatever. But as a broadcaster, I've been doing this, I don't know how many years now, 27, longer now, maybe. It's since 1995 with ESPN, but before that on radio and all that. I don't care who wins, and people can believe that or not, but over the course of time, hopefully you build up a reputation, and you just say what you see. And sometimes when I went to Duke, when Duke's a better team, you say it. If they're not, you say it. With the draft, I've learned a lot. I think my early years in the draft, I said I was kind of unvarnished to the point of maybe a little too much on the negative side. And I think our jobs as broadcasters is to say the right thing at the right time in the right tone. And sometimes, you're when you're being critical, if your tone isn't right, it can be taken the wrong way. Like, I'm not angry about somebody who can't, dribble, but you have to point it out. And, I'll give you an example. Like, I don't remember the year, but Utah drafted player number 8, I believe, from BYU named Rafael Araujo.
Yeah.
And he was a really good college player, but I just didn't think he was an NBA player. And so I said, he can't play in the NBA. Like, he's just not good enough. And so after that, I mean, I probably would soften that now and try to say it in a little gentler way and still get the same point across. But I remember his coach at the time was a guy named Steve Cleveland, and he blasted me in the media the next day. And so I called him, just say, hey, we're okay, right? And he said, yeah, we're fine. He goes, look, and I probably shouldn't say this, but he said, look, you're right. I just had to stand up for my guy publicly.
That's cool.
And yeah, I mean, and I don't mind even if he like, disagreement is good. We're just talking. Like, what we say doesn't determine how these players are going to do. You can sit and say, well, this guy's going to the Hall of Fame or not going to the Hall of Fame, whatever. The player is going to determine it. It's not us. So you try to do the best you can. And I'm sure I've made plenty of mistakes. But I don't point those out. I like to talk only about my home runs instead of my strikeouts.
Right. No doubt. And you said this is your 20th draft coming up. You've talked a lot about the Sacramento Kings in the lottery over the years. So they're trying to eventually not be a lottery team, but here they are again. They've got the number 4 pick. As we take a step back and looking kind of at the top of this draft, how talented do you view this draft? Do you see that there's some star potential here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think this is a really good draft. And it's deep with good players. I don't know that I've come up with sort of a name for it, as if like this is the wing draft or the big guy draft or anything like that. But there's a clear distinction, I think, at the top. The top 3 seem pretty set. There may be a little bit, people might differ. Do you take Chet Holmgren of Gonzaga number 1 or Jabari Smith of Auburn number 1? But I think that's where the debate ends. I don't think Paolo Banchero will be taking 1. But I can see Orlando taking Smith or Holmgren. Those are both good calls. And so it's similar in a way, maybe not similar in player styles, but it's similar in a way to a couple of years ago where you had Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. And you can say, well, there's a clear difference. You could have 2 different teams and they look at it differently, but neither one of them are wrong. You just like, both of them are going to be really good. You just like one player a little bit better at one. And I think that's kind of the way this draft is.
And one of the guys at the top, Chet Holmgren, he's obviously just such a unique talent. What do you like about his game, or what stands out to you about his game?
Well, he's super skilled. So at 7 feet tall, it's unusual to see a player skilled that way. He can grab a rebound and then bring it up himself. He doesn't have to get rid of it. Usually a big guy grabs a rebound, you're like, outlet it, get rid of it. And he can dribble it up, go behind his back, make a pass. He's a very good perimeter shooter. Like he's not at 7 feet, he's not a 5-man. He's really a 3-man. And he's a solid rebounder and a very good shot blocker, shot changer. The thing that's been hardest for me with Holmgren is sort of my Neanderthal brain kind of looks at it old school, at how many guys of that body style have been successful. Like his body compares to like Sean Bradley or Kristaps Porzingis, and not that like he's going to be successful in the league. I know that, but I still have this thing in the back of my mind that his body bothers me. But he's not going to be banging down the low post with Olajuwon. Like those days are over. He's not that type of player. And although there are situations where maybe some teams took advantage of him in certain spots last year at Gonzaga, he does a really good job of keeping his body away from offensive players and impacting the play by blocking or changing the shot without an offensive player kind of getting into his body and exploiting the fact that he's not super strong. But he's the real deal, and he's tough. He doesn't look it. He looks fragile, and he's not. He doesn't have injury problems, but he's also he's tough and competitive. And I think for the guys that played with him in USA basketball, their perspective is he's actually better than he even showed at Gonzaga. Like he's got more there than you've even seen. So I think he's not a no-brainer number one, because I really like Jabari Smith a lot. But he's a worthy number one pick.
Yeah, I'm super intrigued by him, and it seems like there's so many people mixed because of what you mentioned, that frame. I wanted to ask you about Paolo Banchero. That's a guy that you've obviously seen a lot more than I have. I've been watching him, going back on Synergy, seeing his stuff, and it's so impressive. I mean, just powerful, just great size. What do you see in his game, and what maybe needs to improve if he's going to have great success at the NBA level?
Well, you nailed it. I mean, first and foremost, his size and power. Like he's not a finesse player, and he can sometimes do that, but he's a power player. He's got a great spin move. When he goes right and spins back, nobody can really stay in front of him, at least at the college level. Synergy is that's a rabbit hole you can go down. I spend more time on Synergy than Netflix. You watch all these games and break it down to individual plays. You can get in the weeds on that stuff, but
yeah,
the one area, like Banchero shoots it pretty well. He's got good range on his shot. I think he can be a much more consistent shooter, and I think you've seen a lot of players in the NBA that have become more consistent shooters, and I think he'll be one of those. I think he can still improve on the defensive end. I think he's got the chops to be a good defender, but he's not always shown the consistency of a great defender, sort of the every play want to. He's not shown that yet, but I do think he has it in him. And that was a question I had with Anthony Edwards, is he going to consistently guard? And is he, I wasn't sure at the time. I thought he was the number one pick and should be, but you're like, he needs to be more assertive. And he showed that. Like these guys, you keep forgetting, you have to remind yourself they're still really young.
Yep.
And, I'm 1,000 years old, but when I was in college, everybody stayed 4 years, and, nobody said, well, Tim Duncan, he's 22 years old. We know we're going to get out of him. You're still a rookie, and there was a lot of room to improve. And these guys even have more room to improve, and they're going to be completely different players in 4 years than they are now with their maturity level.
Yeah, and that's coming up to this next guy, because I do want to always factor in age and like, hey, he can learn more. And with Jaden Ivey, I want to know what you like about him. For me, some of his flaws, especially defensively, have really stuck out to me. But I keep asking myself, do I need to factor in his age? Do I need to factor in, is he a student of the game? Does he want to learn more? Is he, that type of player, have that type of mentality? What are your thoughts on Jaden Ivey as a player?
That's really perceptive, because that's the issue I have with Jaden, is I don't think he's a focused defender. But part of that may be he needed to stay on the floor for Purdue. And those fouls, if guys don't want to pick up fouls, I kind of don't blame them. But offensively, he's really dynamic, especially in the open floor. He's got a great first step. I think he can be a better finisher, but he shoots it pretty well. So offensively, I think he's the real deal. He's not quite as strong as a Dwayne Wade, but he's got those type of offensive gifts. And so you nailed it. Like the big question with him is how good of a defender is he going to be? It's not going to keep him from being a top 5 pick or 6, whatever. Like he's going in the upper lottery because he's that gifted on the offensive end. And I do think I think he's got the makeup to be a very good defender. And I think he's got the want to. He's a really good young man, and he's obviously been well parented. But you guys know his mother is the head coach at Notre Dame, Yale Ivy. So it's not like he hasn't been taught defense by Matt Painter and Coach Ivy. But I do think he'll do it. But that's sort of I think you put your finger right on what I consider to be the most difficult thing is trying to figure out what is their competitive makeup. I think he's a really hard worker. And again, he's really young. But I think the idea of when you got a top 5 pick, do they want to be good or do they want to be great? And there's a big difference between that. And that delta's pretty wide. I just don't know with some of the guys, some of them, you've seen it. Others, you have to, gather intelligence on it and try to figure it out because it's not something you can, hey, let's go to the combine and measure their want to. He led the league in want to. It's a hard thing to figure out.
Yeah, there's so much talk right now in Sacramento because they're at this number 4 spot. Where do they go? And they're in this weird thing where obviously they're trying to end this 16-year playoff drought. And the path they chose was to trade Halliburton, get Sabonis. So now they have Sabonis and Fox, and it's like, you got to make the playoffs now. So now it gets into this fit versus, best available conversation. I'm curious what you would think about Jaden Ivey with the Kings, with De'Aaron Fox. Do you think that pairing could work together?
Sure. I mean, I would throw Davion Mitchell in there too,
Right.
because I think he's a long-term solution for the Kings. Look, it's easy for me to say being so far away from this, but Sacramento is one of those franchises that the first order of business is to develop a winning culture within the entire organization. Yeah. And it's not going to be tied to just one player. I remember when DeMarcus Cousins was coming out in the draft, I think it was 2010. I can't remember what pick he was, 3, 4, whatever it was. But, Sacramento, I thought that was the last place that he should have gone. And the last place that should have picked him, frankly. And I love DeMarcus personally, and obviously he was a great player and still is a really good player. But I just felt like that wasn't going to advance, a winning culture there. And I don't think any reasonable person could look at it and say it worked out to everybody's benefit.
Right.
What I would say is like I'm in the camp of, and it's easy. So when you're not drafting, it's easy to have this perspective. But I think I would always lean toward taking the best available player, because when you start looking at fit, you don't know that you're going to have the same roster another year, a year and a half, or 2 years. So you take the best asset and the best long-term player. Now, if you got a championship level, if you're Golden State and you say, hey, if we take this guy and plug him in, that makes us that much better. When your window is a little bit shorter, but we're talking here about a franchise that needs to build a winning culture for the long term. And so I think the makeup of the player that you draft, you want the best available player, I think, but you also want the sort of the best pro, like the best locker room, best culture guy that you can get, in addition to the talent. Like the talent you can't ignore. You go out and get the best culture guy who can't play. You got a great locker room, but you can't play. So you have to balance that out.
And last one for you. I want to be respectful of your time. We can't thank you enough, by the way, for
Seriously.
hanging out with us for a bit.
No, my pleasure. Honor.
Keegan Murray is a name too that's getting some run in Sacramento, and obviously his development in this last year. I mean, it was pretty remarkable to see how much he has grown with his game. How do you project him at the next level?
very good. I think he could be, he could be taken at 4. He could be a top 5 pick. That's where I have him slated, because he's so versatile, and he does all the things that sort of equate to winning. And he's not one of these spectacular players. So where he does, he's not like gonna fly in there like Dr. J and or LeBron and make these incredible dunks or block shots, where LeBron runs behind and pins it to the backboard to save a game. But he does the, I don't want to say ordinary, but he does the thing that a lot of players can do. He just does it over and over and over again. He does it on both ends of the floor. And so at the end of the game, he's been spectacular by doing the hard things that other players don't seem to want to do. And he's very talented too. I think he's 22, but if he's not, he's 21. So he's an older junior. But you nailed it again. Like, his improvement from last year to this year was staggering. If you told me before the season, a guy who averaged 9 points a game is going to average 23 and be as consistent as he was at such a high level, I'm not sure I would have believed it. So I think he does so many different things so well that he's one of those, like we talked about before, one of those culture guys that would really, really help a franchise like Sacramento take the next step. So you add him in with Fox and Mitchell and Sabonis, and he can really help for a long time.
Tough thing for Monty McNair in Sacramento. So if you get there at 4 and, Ivey's on the board, Keegan Murray, I mean, what do you think they should do?
That's a good question. I mean, there are other players too that may slide in there. A lot of people really like Shaedon Sharpe from Kentucky, even though he's kind of a mystery. Nobody's seen him play in 14 months. I watched him in practice, and it's one of those things where I was there to watch the Kentucky team. I wound up spending all my time watching Sharpe over on one end, kind of work out. And but you don't know, like, you haven't seen him in 5-on-5 in a while, but boy, in workouts he's going to wow a lot of people. But if I had Ivey or Murray, I would probably lean toward Ivey a little bit. But that's a tough call, and I don't think you get a lot of argument if you went either way.
It's going to be fun.
It
well,
is.
Jay, we can't thank you enough for the time and your perspective. Keep up
Thank
the
you.
amazing work. Congrats on your 20th NBA draft coming up too.
Yay!
Thanks so much for being with us, man.
They haven't kicked me out yet, but they're working on it. I think they're working on it.
Jay, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Bye, Jay.
Thank you. My pleasure.
That's a one and only Jay Bilas on the Deuce and Mo podcast.
Woo!
Guys, we did it. We made
We
it. And
did-
great.
Is he not
He's
so
the nicest.
nice?
He's the nicest guy.
He always
Why was I
is.
nervous?
Every
Why
single
was
time.
I nervous?
Every single time.
Why'd you make me nervous?
I did. Well, I
You made
probably
me
made you
nervous.
nervous the other day when I was like, Deuce, Jay Bilas just intimidates me. I don't know why. And we've talked to him multiple times. But there's something else too. When you guys get someone on video and you get to talk to them, like, you get to see their demeanor, their body language so much more. And I think sometimes he can come off dry and sarcastic, and it's wonderful seeing his face when he does that, and just a great perspective from him again, not only because he knows the college game so damn well, but obviously when you're talking about these top guys and just how special of a draft he feels like some of these players are, especially in this draft, it's just, there's some good things here for the Sacramento Kings at 4.
Yeah. I think that's my big takeaway as we continue to watch this. And look, I'm not going to be the guy that ends up seeing every single player who ends up getting drafted. All right. So I'm not going to pretend. So I'm trying to focus in on, all right, who are some guys that are probably going to be in the Kings range? And let's be honest, we're going to spend so much time talking about Chet and Paolo and Ivey and Murray, Dyson Daniels, and they're going to trade back and draft some guy at 17 that we don't know anything about.
100%.
Yeah.
And just like Kevin O'Connor reported today, there's 700 things that the Sacramento Kings can do with the draft pick that we already know. Yes, we understand that. There's lots and lots of things that we already know. And I know we're going to get to some sponsors in a second, but also can we please make sure to break down exactly what he just said too about Keegan Murray and Jaden Ivey and just like, yeah. Let's get to that.
I mean, we can acknowledge some other things he said too.
Yeah, but I want to talk about those two things and how interesting I thought he it was when he was talking about culture compared to, you know, the talent of Jaden Ivey and just like what Keegan Murray brings. I'm so glad I'm not a GM in the NBA.
Well, we got more coming up on the podcast, but we should mention that today's podcast presented by our friends over at Revitalite. Oh, it's Morgan grabbing some Revitalite. Is that purple?
It's grape. It's grape.
It's purple, but that's fine. We're never going to agree on this.
No.
But what we can agree on is Revitalite is the best. If you're, you know, let's just say you're watching the NBA Finals, you're throwing them back, having a couple of beers. Make sure to chase it down with some Revitalite at the end of the night. It'll make you feel good. And what's great about Revitalite is I grab it and snatch it away from Morgan.
Yeah.
You go to your Rayleigh's, you go to your Bel Air, you're in the alcohol aisle, you're picking up whatever you need. Oh, look, Revitalite's right here. Come grab me. I'll make you rehydrated.
Okay, I would not grab a creepy talking Revitalite thing. So it's basically an adult Pedialyte, right? So now you don't have to go to the baby aisle where all the stupid babies are crawling through and being like, oh, where's my diapers? No one gives a shit, baby. Like, shut up. Go to the alcohol aisle, grab your Revitalite. One of my favorite things too, it was funny. Deuce was like, because I don't drink that much anymore. And I was drinking on Saturday. I was having some beers. And Deuce is like, hey, just make sure you have a Revitalite later. And I swear it saved me. It saved me for the next day. So obviously I felt good the next day. I was able to do everything that I still needed to do. It's just one of those things that can help you out, not only if you're drinking, but also if you're working out, it can help you recover as well.
So get it at Rayleigh's, Bel Air, or go to drinkrevitalite.com. We're also presented today by a New York Times bestselling author. She's the one and only T.R. Reagan.
Dude, she's so badass to me. I just love this woman so much. Not only...
I mean, she's your mom. I mean, it would be weird if you didn't love your mom.
No.
Oh, wait.
Like, yeah. No, it's... I know, not funny. But seriously, she's sold millions and millions of copies of her books because she's such a good storyteller. The way that she writes, the way that she comes up with these characters that are so badass and everything. So if you want to check out her latest book, Count to 3, you just got to go to Amazon.com or you can go to trreagan.com and see all of her books there. Her newest book is going to come out in December. We'll make sure to do some giveaways so people can have that. But right now, it's all about the summer read. So make sure you check out all of her thrillers, trreagan.com or Amazon.com and search TR Reagan.
Appreciate everyone's support of the Deuce and Mo podcast. All right, let's get back to Jay Bilas for a second.
Woo!
So we obviously had limited time with him, so we couldn't go and I saw a lot of people, hey, ask him about this person, this person. It's so hard because we were we had like 20 minutes with him, so we were trying to make the most out of it. Anyway, yeah, very interesting to hear what he had to say about Jaden Ivey. And he has some of the similar questions defensively. He really likes Jaden Ivey. And we asked him, hey, 4th pick, Ivey and Murray on the board. Who do you go with? He said he leaned toward Jaden Ivey. What else jumped out to you about Jay Bilas and the conversation we had?
When we were talking about the two with Keegan Murray and Jaden Ivey, with Jaden Ivey, I love that Jay Bilas also had those questions about the want. Like, does he have the ability to be that student of the game and to learn defense differently? You know, can he soak that all in and make sure that he can be a different defender in the NBA? Because he has to be. He's not, you're in the NBA, you can be an elite offensive scorer, but if you're not the elite of the elite offensive scorers and then you have no defense, then you're not going to have a role for a long time in the NBA, right? Like you have to be like Kyrie tier of elite offensive scorer if that's going to be your game if you don't have any defense. So I think with Jaden Ivey, it's going to be interesting if he does have that want. And then with Keegan Murray, I thought it was very interesting how Jay Bilas brought up DeMarcus and how, you know, the winning culture and how that's why he was thinking, yeah, this is a talented guy, but this isn't going to help what you need to fix first. And I think that's what we're all losing sight of. What do the Kings need to fix first? We keep wanting this guy, this thing, this to happen. And they need it. But Deuce, it's just like anything in this world. Like if you don't fix the main thing that has the umbrella over everyone in an organization or workplace or whatever, which is culture, which is a winning culture, which is a positive culture, then you're not going to be able to change all the other things. Yeah. So I'm not like all about Keegan Murray today.
You like Keegan Murray. And that's
I do.
I mean, it's okay. See, and that's the thing. I think sometimes when this draft conversation comes up, it's like, hey, if you're looking at the draft, if you're a Kings fan, you're an NBA fan, you have to pick one and you can only like one. And that means you have to tear down all the other prospects because this one's better than the rest. And it's not the case. I think in this draft, I think there are some definitely intriguing players throughout this draft that I have seen that I like. And even Jaden Ivey, like, I've heard enough people now talk about what he can do offensively, and they have a strong belief he can be a real force offensively. And when you hear Jay Bilas mention D Wade, I've heard other people mention Donovan Mitchell. I've heard some mention Russell Westbrook. I was reading a piece today in The Athletic where David Aldridge was talking to NBA people throughout the league, evaluators, scouts.
We saw the John
GMs.
Morant comparisons.
Yeah, so like you can't ignore that stuff. So I think the Kings are going to have a very interesting decision to make at number 4, especially if it goes the way we think, which is, you know,
they keep the pick and
with Jabari, Chet, and Paolo going in the top 3.
Yeah, assuming that that's the way everything goes. So yeah.
Before we continue on,
what?
I need some help.
Ooh, what we doing over there?
I need some real help from the people watching us live. The biggest thing you can do right now, it's not for me. It's not for Morgan. It's for our community. Hit the thumbs up button on the YouTube chat.
Thanks, guys.
Make sure you're subscribed so you know when we're live and all that stuff. All it does, it's not like I sit here at the end of a podcast go, hey, Morgan, we got 200 thumbs up today. Let's go.
Yeehaw.
No. It just helps our page grow. It gets shown off, and that's why it continues to grow because you guys hit the thumbs up. So let's get that to like 150, 200. That'd feel really awesome.
Someone asked me at the gym today, they're like, oh, do people hear about your podcast mostly word of mouth or what is it? And I was like, algorithms, NBA community, basketball community. It's like with these likes and with people obviously passing along and sharing it too on social, all these things help. So thank you guys so much. So much.
Appreciate that.
Give me a hell yeah.
Let's get to some people in the chat. I do have a couple more NBA things I wanted to play. I don't think Morgan has any idea I'm doing this, but
ooh.
Anyway, NBA rigged in the chat says Bilas mentioned Keegan is a culture setter. That's very important to me. What do you guys think? No, I think that's very important just to have people who set a tone. Like I think Davion Mitchell kind of has that, right? Kind of that work ethic he brings, that thirst to be great. And based on not just watching Keegan Murray play, but hearing him just talk about the game, I can tell he loves the game and he wants to get better and he knows exactly what he does wrong. He seems like a film guy. Like, I think that those things are definitely important. I think in sports too, we throw around culture so much. It's like, you know what it is? It's guys who want to come in and work their asses off and they don't give a shit about, hey, I'm going to score 20 a game or not. They're coming in and saying, I'm doing whatever it takes.
Yes.
And the thing I think about is the clip over the weekend where Bradley Beal's talking to this AAU team. And he is ripping them to shreds after a game. Because he was talking about you guys are focused on scoring 20. They're focused on winning, and they still score 20 a game because they are focused on the right things, right? It's coming in, it's putting in the work, it's ignoring the outside noise about Sacramento.
It's the right way of playing basketball. And we've talked about this so many times. If you don't have these specific star players on your team, guess how you have to play the game as a complete team. How do you do that? You buy into whatever the system is. Now, the system in the past seemed to be a little bit too free with Luke Walton and Alvin Gentry. Absolutely. There wasn't enough discipline, all of those things. With this new... Sorry. Your great point. With this new coaching staff and coach and Mike Brown coming in, from what we hear, it's going to be different. Now, believe it when we see it, but you're also hearing the buy-in already from players before he was even hired. And I'm talking about, obviously, De'Aaron Fox after the season, talking about wanting to be coached by someone who demands that discipline and structure and all of those things. So if you have a complete team that's going to buy into that and the right pieces and the right mindset, you can have success. Now, what does success mean for the Sacramento Kings and where they are for next season? Depends on whatever tweaks that they make. You know, it's like, I really hope that they can get that play-in spot. I don't have this playoff aspirations right now for the next season. I'm just being realistic, but that play-in spot should definitely be it.
A giant, you know what Jaden Ivey does have?
What does he have?
A good nickname too.
What?
His Instagram handle?
What?
Poison Ivy.
Cute. That's good.
You don't mess with Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy is here to itch.
Oh my God. Why am I itching so much after defending him?
Isn't that poison oak?
I don't know. Does poison ivy make you itch?
I don't know. Should I
Know
look
your
up
poison oak and poison ivy. I don't know.
Poison ivy real.
Oh my goodness.
Poison ivy is a type of plant in the. Oh God, no.
Yeah, we don't care about that. What does poison ivy do to people? What does poison ivy do to the skin?
Okay, this is good.
Let's talk about it.
Can
cause red, swollen skin, blisters, and severe itching.
He's got blisters. Do you like that call?
No, he's got blisters.
No, or he's passing out blisters.
He's passing out, but I don't like passing out blisters. That's not how I call it.
Okay, how would you call it? Like we're literally making up a call for Jaden Ivey.
I don't know. Worry about it once.
Okay, so I have to sound like the idiot right now. Got it.
Yeah.
It gives you a rash, says diehard Dylan. He's passing out rashes.
That kind of sounds like
a disease?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's poison ivy. Okay, we're done coming up with Jaden Ivey calls.
All right, we need to talk about some other NBA stuff that caught my attention. Darvin Ham's press conference. I'm just going to be real honest with you guys. I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I think the Lakers just hired a really good coach.
They did.
Well, it just sucks, for like.
Why does it? Oh, just because it's the Lakers. Yeah,
anyway,
no, for sure.
He was asked about Russell Westbrook yesterday in his intro press conference. And I got to be honest, I thought Darvin Ham handled it perfectly. And let's also know Westbrook's in the damn room when he's being asked about this.
Crazy.
Here's how it went down yesterday in LA.
Specifically on Russ, a lot has been made about his fit with LeBron, and we didn't see it a ton last year with injuries, but how do you see those three working together? How do you see Russ fitting? And I guess more, you do see him here, I guess, based on the way you're talking.
Absolutely. I mean, just our running habits. And Russell, don't get it messed up. Russ is one of the best players our league has ever seen, and there's still a ton left in that tank. I don't know why people tend to try to write him off. I'm going to approach him like I do every player I've ever encountered. We're going to talk about our running habits with the ball, without the ball, and again, the team, the rhythm of the team, and trying to establish a rhythm with LeBron, Russ, AD, and again, share the load defensively and offensively. Defensively is where you're going to see us make our biggest leaps and bounds. We have to commit to the defensive side of the ball, or we don't have a chance to do anything. The offense won't even matter if we don't get stops.
Okay, a couple of things on this clip for the audio people. Westbrook's there. Camera pans over to Westbrook while Darvin Ham is talking about Westbrook. But I loved what he said. One, okay, we know everyone's been critical of Westbrook and not adjusting. His style of play, maybe sacrificing, all of that stuff. I think all that is fair. But what Darvin Ham did was show, I got your back.
Well,
I got your back. I'm going to make it public, and I'm going to hold you accountable like I'm holding Austin Reeves accountable or Taylor Horton Tucker. I'm going to hold everyone accountable the same way.
Yes. The way that he talked about his encounter with every single player, he's going to have it the same way. And not only that, I love him stating that, knowing and understanding he has these stars on his team, and that's him trying to demand respect right away, equally throughout and from everybody. But also having his guys back, but understanding what he can do. I really hope to see from Darvin Ham, even though I hate the Lakers, I really hope to see him find a way to make Russell Westbrook actually understand a different role in this league. And if Russell Westbrook bought into that, think about how special that could be. Not only for Darvin Ham as a first-year head coach, but for someone like Russell Westbrook who is coming toward the end of his career and could have, a different type of end of his career. Oh, come on. How 34? How old is he?
Morgan, I didn't know the Undertaker was here.
Oh, stop! No,
are you burying Westbrook right now?
No, oh, he's 33. So, let's even say he has 4 more strong years.
He's the same age as you.
Let's say he has 4, but I'm just saying, let's just say he had 4 more strong years of his career. Have them strong. Go out like Chris Paul has
for
been.
sure. And obviously, the Lakers have far more tweaks to figure out.
Absolutely.
But can they get the most out of AD? Keep him healthy. What's LeBron? Is he motivated? Here's the thing I like about Darvin Ham, the guy, you listen to him, I'm sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
He said something. There was a quote I saw on social media I'm going to share with you now, Morgan.
Okay.
Darvin Ham was asked about pressure. He says, I grew up in Saginaw, Michigan. I was shot in the face by accident April 5th, 1988. You go through something like that, it's going to do one of two things. It makes you fearful or fearless. It made me fearless. I don't feel no pressure. It's basketball.
Holy shit. I mean, wow.
I don't want to be like Kenny Caraway right now, but okay, Lake Show. Darvin Ham. I love this man.
Wow. And I
don't want to like him. I love this man.
I was already starting to obviously fall in love with Darvin Ham. I didn't know that story about him, but I was starting to fall in love with him during the Kings coaching search and just obviously stalking him and learning so much more about him. Yeah, just a little bit. But that's something right there. And that's telling to probably who he is as a person and as a coach and how he's going to go about things.
In the chat, Boise says, Russ is just staring the man down. Gregory says, Russ is like, you better talk right, coach.
You guys are so dumb.
Darvin Ham's not scared of him. Oh,
no
my
way.
God. Tillman want to know, how the heck did you guys get Jay Bilas on? Listen.
Yeah, what are you going to say? We just reached out?
Listen. Deuce.
No. Stop. We are our own producers, and we just try to build relationships for the most part, but then we just reach out to people.
I believe Jay said it was an honor to be on, Deuce and Mo.
Dude,
it was.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
That was a really cool conversation.
Anyway, back to this Lakers stuff real fast. Darvin Ham. Steven says, I love Darvin, but those Lakers don't have much promise. They're only getting older. Yeah, I think that's the biggest obstacle. But I think for the Lakers, they've done so much. I think the old Lakers would have installed someone like Terry Stotts. You know, Mike D'Antoni's been there before, so not him. They would have done something like a veteran coach. They went with a first-year head coach who I think can be there post-LeBron, and I think that matters.
And not only that, though, he's also picking out a coaching staff that is also fearless. Rasheed Wallace, you know, and is this the type of identity he wants his star players like Anthony Davis to have, who barely looks at something and then gets injured at times? I know I exaggerate. I'm sometimes mean about it, but it's frustrating when a player can't shake off like a jammed finger or a fractured finger really quick. Like we've all been there playing basketball, and you just got to shake it off sometimes, especially at that level.
Like me, I have a severe lower back strain. I'm here. You probably can't even tell. I'm fighting through it right now. Appreciate that.
I played with like a fractured finger and a shoulder out of the socket. Like you let adrenaline get you through, and then you get out.
I saw something. Oh, heroes. Jeff Hardy Rule says, if we draft Ivy, do you guys think Dante would be open to coming off the bench? Yeah, I think there's been a lot made about the whole like Dante coming off the bench last year thing. And I got to be honest, from my perspective, I think it's overblown. Anytime an agent is pushing for his guy to be in a starting lineup, I get all that. But Dante was playing the same amount of minutes he was before. And I thought he should have been starting last year instead of Justin Holiday. But I also saw what Alvin Gentry was looking at. And Gentry was like, I've known Justin Holiday for years. I know what he's about.
Right.
I'm going to allow, we're not winning right now. I'm going to allow this guy to get out of the funk because I'm showing belief in him. And I think sometimes we are so quick to be like, oh, bench this guy. Why? It's like, well, Justin Holiday has a track record of being a good shooter. I'm going to trust that he gets out of it. He did not. I don't think the Dante thing is that big of a deal. I think he would be open-minded to coming off the bench.
Yeah, but I also think with everything that happened with Dante DiVincenzo, so many people forget that it was like 17 games that he had come back from the injury. Then he was traded to the Sacramento Kings.
Yep.
So not only did he lose his starting spot there with the Bucks, but he was getting back into rhythm, finding his way back on the court, whatever. Then he comes to the Kings where just everything's in shambles. You know, there's no identity. And it was like, okay, he's not doing what Dante DiVincenzo was doing when he was starting with the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's start the other guys that have been here and whatever.
Let's get to some more clips, and we'll get to some more questions coming up. But some other things that caught my attention around the league. Oh, Pat Riley, the Godfather. Super honest about where Miami's at. I want to play a couple of clips from him. This is when Morgan's like, are we really playing 2 clips?
Why would I say? I love Pat Riley.
All right. And I don't think you've seen this, right?
No.
All right, here's Pat Riley yesterday talking about Miami's season.
Well, I definitely feel an obligation to finish this build. And so if we're 3 years into this build then, and I don't want to do another 3 years of just building this team. I mean, I think we're in that window of internal improvement. We got a great player in Jimmy Butler. We know that. We have a lot of real experienced veterans. And so we put together a team that got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was bitter. It was a bitter loss. I mean, the dragon hasn't, actually left my body yet from that loss. It was, I was stunned. I was frustrated. I was angry. I was all of those things, for the last week. And now I'm beginning to move on past all of that. And so I haven't given that any thought at all, Ira, And so until somebody brings it to me, other than the media, I'm 77 years old. And right now I can do more push-ups than you can do right now. If you want to go to the mat, let's go.
Shirts off, Riley.
Shirts off, Riley.
Hey, Pat Riley, 77 years old. He's challenging some sloppy
shit.
reporter to a push-up contest. But you know what else I love about Pat Riley?
What?
He's done everything in his career. He's been part of great teams. He, at 77, could just go golfing all the time, be retired. He has a fire inside him, a competitiveness about him that I truly admire.
What a lot. Like, that's it's so cool to be that passionate, obsessed with something that you do. It really is.
Now, this got some play yesterday. He was talking about Kyle Lowry.
Okay.
Listening to the clip, I didn't think it was that bad, but he was asked about Kyle Lowry's season, and he says he needs to get in better shape.
The bottom line with me and for me, as far as hoping that you can get the most out of a player, I don't have to go back and talk about it, is that you got to be in world-class shape. You just have to be. And that is something, as you get older, there's a point of diminishing returns as you get a little bit older, that when you're younger, you can do things in spite of that. But I'm not saying that when he was younger, he wasn't in the kind of condition that he was in this year. But he definitely is going to have to address that, and it will be addressed. And to get to what the perfect, overall conditioning for him to be successful, because he plays the game, in a manner where he needs his strength and his size.
Yes.
He's not, he's not Tyler Hero. He's not that lean kind of guy, but I think he can be in better shape, and I do believe that the pain of losing and the reminders that you send out about this, might change his mind a little bit. But I do think that that he can be in better shape next year, and we'll address it, and we'll try to help him as best as we can, because it's not easy when you get a little bit older. So.
Okay, how fair was that one?
It was.
And I hope we never lose this in the game. Like, I know Pat Riley's the old school guy, but I think the reason he's able to command respect is, one, the resume, like, no doubt. But he's direct. He's not going to bullshit you. And it's like, Miami could be a little extreme with their conditioning stuff, but I think everyone could be like, oh, this guy could probably get in better shape. And they all want to win.
Deuce, but see, that's the thing. It's not extreme. It's part of the standards of their winning culture. That's what it is, you guys. The discipline to put that love into your body. You're going to play differently. You're going to play as a teammate on this team differently if you sacrifice not eating that ho-ho or that muffin or that scoop of ice cream. You know what I mean? God, all the things that I don't sacrifice. God, I need Pat Riley in my life helping me with my health. But that's not the point right now. The point is, Kyle Lowry, yes, 100% looked fluffy by the end of this season.
But I think his biggest thing with him, too, is like, hey, you may be able to get away with certain things when you're younger.
Yeah.
But now, as you get older,
it's going to
that makes it more challenging.
Cause more injuries. Yeah. It's going to slow you down. You need all of that. Why do you think, again, Chris Paul and LeBron James are playing at the levels they're playing at this stage in their careers?
Well, his strength is important. You can't come in next year looking like Chet Holmgren. Could you imagine?
Well, right. That's why the strength is important.
He cannot lose his place on first team all wagon.
His wagon will remain, Deuce.
I mean, all the time, but it's if he loses it, he can fall to the second team. Sabonis is on first team. He's got a wagon.
Deuce is obsessed with athletes' asses for some reason. I just don't understand it. I'm shocked you don't have a chart back here of like best asses in the league. Tier 1.
We'll save that for the offseason.
Okay. That will be your next TikTok.
Steven says Lowry is 36. Let him be chubby and happy as he approaches retirement. Yeah.
Not in Miami. Hey, if you want to go play somewhere else, you can be chubby and happy.
Last clip I wanted to share on the podcast. I thought this was a cool one. Anthony Edwards was doing an interview with Kenny Smith for that new movie that just came out, Hustle, LeBron movie.
Yes.
You think is that movie supposed to be good?
One, you're not even a movie person at all.
I would watch Hustle.
You say that what was the last movie you've watched? Movie. Right. You can't
Space Jam 2?
Seriously? How long ago was that?
When it was a year ago?
Oh my God. Okay, look, so anyway, you can't really.
Why do I need to watch a movie when my life is a movie? Think about it.
No, don't think. There's nothing to think
All right,
about.
let's focus for a second. Anyway, Anthony Edwards was talking about what he learned from a pre-draft workout. This is pretty amazing stuff. He gave some credit to Steve Kerr. Let's hear it.
Not Adam
Sandler.
Sandler.
Tell you this. So I was working out for the Warriors pre-draft, and Steve Kerr is there, Bob Myers, and I forgot the other guy's name. And it's the coach, the front office guys. And we working out, and I'm doing this drill that they say that Steph be doing. Boom, I'm running, touching the line, shooting, running, touching the line, shooting. You got to make like 5 in a row. And I couldn't do it. I'm too tired. I'm like, man, this is too much. But I'm not saying this. I'm just jogging. And after the workout, Steve comes to me like, you can't go any faster? I'm like, I thought I was going pretty fast. Right. He was like, nah, do it again. So I did it again. I'm going fast. He stopped saying like, you can't go faster than that. So at this point, I'm like, all right, this is very bad. So now I'm trying to sprint, and now I'm looking all crazy, missing left, missing right. So we go to dinner, and he's telling me like, hey man, if we're gonna draft you at number 2, you gotta be a hard worker. Like you ain't working hard enough. And I think that was a stumble in the road for me.
Wow.
And I looked at it like I called my trainer afterwards and was like, hey bro, we gotta change. We gotta change
our workout.
Yeah.
Change our workout.
He told me like Steve Kerr told me how Steph and KD used to work out super hard. It might not be long, but it's super hard when they're in there. And ever since then is when I feel like I took that next step.
Okay.
Wait. Wasn't that the knock on him before drafting him?
He's lazy, blah, blah, blah. And this is what we have to be careful with. Big
Yep.
picture. When everyone talks about the draft, this guy can't do this. He won't do this. During a pre-draft workout, a respected NBA coach like Steve Kerr, an organization that has shown that they know how to do things right, told a high draft prospect that, hey, if we're going to take you here, you need to do this.
You need to work harder.
Now, some guys maybe go, get out of here. Or an agent gets pissed off at the Warriors. Why are you telling my client that? No, Anthony Edwards didn't take offense to it.
He reflected.
And that helped him.
Yeah.
I just think that's cool. And it tells you a lot about Anthony Edwards as a person. I love that guy.
Really cool. And the fact that, think about how that changed his first year in the NBA, in his first part of his career in the NBA because of that one little message from Steve Kerr during a pre-draft workout. It's just incredible.
I think it's just cool, and it shows you what Anthony Edwards is about as a player and a person, and you could see why he is developing into such a fun player. And the biggest thing I've always said about Anthony Edwards when I watch him play, he has fun playing the game.
Yep.
You see it. He plays with joy. He plays with confidence. He's not just goofing around. He has fun playing.
Well, the fact that he went to his trainer and said, okay, we need to work harder. It's like he was willing to take that next step to make sure that he was going to have fun. Because you know what's fun about playing the game of basketball? When you're good at it, when you're winning, right? Like that all adds up to being part of the fun. So if you can get to that point by just working a little harder, why wouldn't you do it?
In the chat, by the way, someone's saying, Deuce just loving every guy. Am I just loving every guy today? Am I doing that? Am I being is Deuce being too positive today?
You got another guy?
No, I actually I'm just trying to play some intriguing clips for you today.
I thought maybe you were going to love on this guy too. Because I think you did earlier when you were telling me about this clip.
So we actually talked about this topic yesterday, and it was Richard Jefferson's whole thing about the idea of shortening the NBA season, how he thinks it's such a ridiculous thing and why do players want that. Well, CJ McCollum now working for ESPN, double dipping. He was on First Take today, and he was going up head-to-head with Stephen A. Smith, talking about should the NBA shorten the season?
A healthy player sitting out. There's this misconception, if you will, that players just choose to sit out games. JJ played in the league a long time. How often did your staff tell you, JJ, this is a designated rest day?
I'd fight him on it.
He would fight him on it.
There's a lot of guys that do fight the teams on it.
Full disclosure here, I played in Portland for a long time with Damian Lillard. Everybody knows that. There was times where we'd go through the calendar and we would be supposed to pick rest days. And Dame and I would look at each other and we would go through designated rest days, right? Back to back, 4 and 5, 5 and 7, whatever the case may be. We would agree to sit games. The game would come up on the schedule. I would look at Dame. He would look at me. I would say, I'm playing tonight. You playing tonight? He'd be like, yeah. We would laugh about it because in reality, we sit those games and people think we're sitting healthy. When in reality, the team's job is to protect that 8-figure, 9-figure endorsement. And the way to protect that is to shield us from games where it's considered high risk of injury.
Interesting stuff there. And the other thing he was talking about, I was like, the league just has to adapt. This isn't just all players talking about shorten the season. A lot of it's just people in the media talking.
What was that line? Adapt or die?
Yep.
I mean, and that's it. It's when a game evolves, when a game changes, you have to change with it. You can't just stay the same. And if you stay the same, be like, well, everyone can just play at this higher pace in 82 games. Like, let's do it because there's money involved and greed, rules, everything. I mean, does it when the product starts falling apart or players can't play or big players, Kawhi Leonard doesn't even play for a while? You know, like there's certain things that are going to start factoring in. People are going to be like, maybe I do want to see all those star players playing at times and or all the time.
I feel like I'm getting some blowback in the chat.
Ooh, from what?
Just the fact that I don't watch movies often.
Really?
Let me ask you this. When do I have time to watch a movie?
Favorite thing, actually, Jay Bilas said, he said, I watch Synergy more than Netflix. That's what and Synergy is obviously the basketball site where you can break down everything.
I will say this. I use my free time differently. A lot of my free time isn't spent on movies. It's, playing Warzone.
No, you're such a liar.
If I have free time.
I can tell you what your free time is. Hey, Deuce, what you... Oh, hey, Morgan, I'm thinking if I do this TikTok and then I do this for the podcast and then I get a guest for this next week and do this, your brain doesn't stop when it comes to the podcast. Does not stop. And I love it because we're a 2-man team. And so it's like I need your brain to work like 7 more times as 7 more people. Love it. But that is what half of your free time is.
I don't look at that as free time. I look at that as just that's me getting stuff ready. That's why we have Jay Bilas on.
So but 15-hour days, your free time, you are obsessed with this and you have so much fun with it that by bettering it or finding new ways to better our product and our podcast, you just do it.
I can't figure out if I'm supposed to be insulted by this.
I'm not even complimenting you. I'm just saying that's what you do.
Look.
GoFundMe for a Deuce vacation.
I want to be great. I want to be great at this. I want to do it awesome. Great. Yes, I know you do. I'm just speaking personally. Don't get offended. And that's why I'm so obsessed with building the community that we have.
No, it's true.
Let's put a bow on the audio portion and we'll hang out with the people on YouTube and Twitch for a few minutes. Thanks so much for listening. We love you, but we got to go.
You all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for being here. See ya.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know. Deuce and Mo.
We are still here. We are hanging out with the people after the show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Biggest thing you could do right now if you're still here hanging out with us, hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. We're going to the moon. That would be huge. Also, huge shout out to Kenneth who donated $50.
Thanks, Kenneth. Vacation fund. All of our podcast money goes back into the podcast.
Yes, it does. It does.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you have any questions or comments, draft, otherwise, NBA movies, we're going to hang out for a few minutes for sure. Steven says you can be great and still watch better movies than Space Jam 2. No, I'm with you. And I don't... I watched Space Jam 2. I think we were talking about the podcast. We watched it. It's not like I was like, hey, let's watch Space Jam 2. It was whatever. It's a kid's movie. I used to love movies growing up.
What happened? Your attention span, huh?
Basketball.
Yeah.
I love watching everything. I like, and you're right. I spend a lot of time doing this. I have to pee so bad.
Yeah, go pee.
Oh,
you know what time it is. Thank you. Oh yeah, no. I see. When are Deuce and Mo going to unveil their mock draft? No, I don't do mock drafts. Going back though to Deuce and his movie watching, I don't get it. I think the only way we can ever get him to watch movies, maybe if we all jump on Twitch and do like an Amazon Prime movie and all watch it and break it down together. I think that would probably be the only way. Besides that, I guess I don't really watch movies, but I know of movies and I used to watch a lot of movies. Now I just like turn on a trashy show when I'm trying to like rest my brain a little bit from basketball. No, I'm not going to force him to watch movies. I don't care. I love this. All movies are just kind of boring. I mean, that's, some people love the artistic views of certain movies and other people love a story and other people like to escape. Some people just do get bored.
I think the other thing is I watch a lot of wrestling too. That's probably the other
That's
thing.
a good one.
So that's another thing that takes up some of my time. Also, the other thing I was going to ask you guys, because of course I'm asking you guys for so many favors, hitting thumbs up, subscribing, all that.
What?
If you guys have some free time, if you go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and search Deuce and Mo and give us like a 5-star or drop a review, that's another way to just build the audio part, which has been great. We're at record highs now every single day, which is incredible. But of course, we're always trying to grow it. So if you can do that, that'd be awesome.
You guys, I was so awkward today. Someone asked me at the gym, they were like, how's the podcast going? I don't know why the first thing I go to is like, the growth has been amazing. Like, what? I get really excited when we do see the work that we're putting in is growing as well. So I just like, we couldn't do this without you. And really, it's just every time when people do ask me that question, I just want to thank you guys for everything. I just dropped a link to the Deuce and Mo website too. It has all of the links to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those things.
Someone in the chat was asking Morgan about the Arizona player, and I always mess up his last name.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Mathurin.
Is that Mathurin?
I think
Mathurin? I don't know. Yeah, we need to watch more.
Why don't we do that today or later?
Yeah. I've got the list. We have a list of guys we're watching over the next couple of days. So. Yeah. Dr. Nestor, are you guys going to have a draft party? Yes, we are going to be live for the NBA draft. I think right now we're projected to be on at 4. That could be on earlier. I don't know. We're still planning stages. We got some fun things coming up. I can unveil this right now.
Which one?
Bryant West.
Yeah, okay.
Bryant West from King's Herald will be on with us draft night. Look, we're going to have a watch party. We're going to talk to different people who we respect, get their thoughts, give our thoughts, talk with you guys on Discord, on YouTube, Twitch. It's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
Just know it's going to be a long night. Buckle up. Let's go.
Yeah, we plan on pretty much just like chiming in with Bryant West every single time there's a pick, getting his insight, allowing him to break down the guy and everything. So it's going to be fun. And as some people even saw on Twitter and Instagram, that Adam Wojnarowski will be joining us as well.
Adrian's brother Adam will be with us.
Yes.
Let's talk about second round gems. Marcus, look, we will ask the so-called experts about second round gems because I will not know much. I don't pretend to be some like, hey, I've been watching college games all year. Like I said, we have filtered it down to the players we need to watch, especially for that first pick for the Sacramento Kings, and we'll be prepared. And we continue. I mean, hey, how about Jay Bilas going, oh, you guys really
I know. He was like, and it's because we're obsessed and we watch everything as well. But sometimes I don't think, I think we give ourselves enough credit, but we also talk down on ourselves too, though. No, when we do talk about our knowledge on college players, because we didn't watch their entire season game by game. And that does tell so much more of a different story than us going to Synergy and us watching a few games that they played
Not
in.
just like a highlight reel.
We just want to respect the experts and the amount of time they put in it.
Ryan says, can I get a hell yeah?
Give me a hell yeah.
Also in the chat, Jay Sutherland film. Who would you trade number 4 if possible? You know, I think there's this notion like, hey, the Kings, they would have to be blown away to move number 4. Do they really have to be blown away? Like, I don't think you're getting an all-star player at number 4. I think the one that's been brought up on social media before that I would definitely listen to is if Detroit is dead set on moving up and they like, let's just say they love Jaden Ivey.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kings are like, yeah, we like him, but we're cool with Keegan Murray or whoever. Would they trade down a spot and maybe get someone like Jeremy Grant in return? I like Jeremy Grant a lot. I don't know. Could it do something like that? I kind of think they're just going to stay at 4. Deuce Mason, wishful thinking would be move up and go get Paolo. Let's go.
That's your wishful thinking?
As of right now, 16 days before.
I forgot to keep track. I was keeping track of day by day who you wanted in my notes. I think at day 24 you were just not that who you wanted. It's just who you're big on. And it was Chet on day 24. Let's see. Oh, here we go.
Paulo, man.
Day 25 was Chet. Day 24 was Paulo. Day 23 was Paulo. You're still on Paulo?
Yes.
Day 16? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, best case scenario, that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, this isn't like, I want the Kings to draft him. It's more just like, who's your guy?
Boise says, why? I don't know why the Pistons would do that. Yeah, I doubt they would. I mean, it sounds like they want a lot to move on from Jeremy Grant. I just don't know that a team's going to be able to move up or give up a lot to get him, especially for a guy that needs a contract extension. For a guy who needs a contract extension. NBA Rick says, I heard Detroit loves Sharp as well, so they are not going to trade up. Okay, a couple of things right now I just need to make clear to everyone right now when it comes to the NBA draft. Just because one person reports like, hey, I'm hearing Detroit really likes Shaedon Sharp, that doesn't mean Detroit really loves Shaedon Sharp. If you hear the Kings, hey, they really love Keegan Murray, they could. They may not.
Screens.
There's so much horse shit around this time. Like, teams leak misdirection out there.
Yeah.
Agents, other teams leak stuff. Everyone's talking. Why? Because everyone's trying to put this puzzle together and figure out what teams are doing what, at what spot. So you, in reporting right now, you're going to hear a lot of bullshit. And I don't know what to believe.
And not only that, if you think about agents and being money driven, right? And just the way that could even go for them by pushing out a certain narrative and someone catching on to that. I always think about that with Jaden Ivey, how that top 3 talk with him came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, you can understand it from his elite offensive side, but at the other side of it, there's 3 special players ahead of him.
Jaden Ivey's in the chat.
Oh, hello, Jaden.
Letting us know that Kings are trading the 4th pick.
Thank you, Jaden.
How wild would that be if that was Jaden Ivey and he knows? That shit would be insane.
Oh, my God. That really would be. Oh, my God.
We're going to be back live 10 a.m. tomorrow. We should also let you know that we're going to be on playback for Game 3 of the NBA Finals as well. Can't wait for Game 3 in Boston. That's going to be a lot of fun. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us today. Make sure to hit the thumbs up, spread the word. We love you guys, but we gots to go.
Love you guys so damn much. Thank you so much for all your support. We'll see you later.
Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo, Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.